How's it going, everybody? Happy Monday. Welcome to another edition of Sports Wrap Daily. I am your host, Darrell Harris. Hope you all had a good weekend. Hope that you are tuned in, not an hour late, all right? Sprint daylight saving happened, and we all caught up a little bit. I am here today with 8 News Now Sports Director Chris Maathuis. Chris, happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you, Darrell. Appreciate you having me on once again. Boy, what a busy weekend it was. I mean, we had the UFC fights, the Zuffa boxing fight, Mountain West basketball tournament from the women's side. You had Big West getting ready to roll here. West Coast has already started here in Las Vegas. So, and then you had the big league weekend, the A's and the Angels out there at the ballpark. So never a loss. If you say you're bored in Vegas, then you are absolutely a corpse, because there is something going on all the time.
There's definitely something to do, and that applies really even, statewide, down here or up north. Saying that because we have a special guest today rejoining Sports Wrap Daily. Welcome back, Rudy Reyes. Rudy, let the viewers know all what you are into, but we know you have the Diamond Casino on lock up there, radio shows throughout the week. Welcome back.
Player management, as well as all the promos that we have at Diamonds Casino. You know, we have Cash is King, we have Bingo Night, of course, IMC, all of that. So between player development and what I do during the week, and then my weekend show on 6:30 AM Fox Sports, certainly something to look out for 1 hour between 11 and 12. So if you're tuned in, okay, great, thank you. If you're not, well, you can do it. It's easy. Sportsreno.com.
Nice. We'll be sure to check that out. And like you said, Chris, let's start right there really quick. We are going to get into today's news, but just to recap, like you said, I think you hit just about everything I have on this graphic, Chris, but I did want to mention at the top of the show, because we won't make it back to it, I wanted to say congrats to Charles Oliveira. I know that wasn't your favorite fight. They were on the ground for all of those rounds. However, that was, we didn't expect that. We previewed that fight. We thought that Max was kind of going to lay into him, and that's what Charles does. He knew he had to win, so he played it safe to get that win. I do want to say congrats, Charles.
No, absolutely dominating, but you mentioned he played it safe, went to the ground game again, and if you're going to have the BMF title up for grabs, either you throw it away. If you're going to have that title up for grabs, you got to have two guys that just come and bring it for all 5 rounds. The ground and pound, the submission stuff, that there were a lot of, you heard them, people were booing, they were going crazy, they were going nuts. They wanted action in that fight. They wanted something to happen in that fight, and in fact, every time that Oliveira came up and he took Holloway down to the ground, there were a big bunch of boos like, oh, not again, because now the rest of the round you're going to be pounding on the ground. It just wasn't a lot of fun. So you either got to get 2 fighters that are just straight strikers no matter what. I think they probably thought that Oliveira would come in and strike, or you got to say to yourself, you know what, this is not a BMF type fight, because it really, to me, it wasn't. I mean, you can say that is he really the baddest fighter out there with what that title supposedly indicates? I don't think so. He dominated the fight.
What do you think, Rudy?
Dominated.
You know, I actually watched that Holloway Oliveira fight. I thought to myself, okay, is this going to pick up or not? Yeah, you're right. It was a little sleepy time in USA. Maybe too many people drinking some decaffeinated coffee. Well, the fighters certainly did. They did exactly what you expect them to do: get on the ground, get in the clinch, get on each other's backs. As much as they're trying to get them off, they still wanted to climb on. But I thought there'd be a lot more striking. And to your point, I think it could have been a better matchup between 2 perennial fighters. And again, if you're going to fight, do it straight up top. Otherwise, get down the ground and just get 2 grounded pounders who would get the other one to submit.
No, and kudos to Max, in great shape, great conditioning, great defense skills on the ground to not get choked out at any point with your back given up to a submission specialist. However, it says a lot about that division's champion, Ilia Topuria, because he knocked out both of those guys with ease, essentially. And he, of course, is headlining that White House card that was revealed. We'll talk more about that in the weeks and months to come. But I did want to reflect on just some of what was going down in just the Valley alone. We had U.S. gymnastics with Madison going back to Friday in the conference tournaments, which we'll talk more about on the back end of this show. But let's jump right into it, fellas. We shall, right? The big news. Chris, it actually happened. Maxx Crosby is no longer a member of the Raiders. We said, Rudy, on this show a handful of times the past couple of weeks, we were like, all right, this is the boy who cried wolf. we're going to keep listening to some of this reporting on it. And of course, we all acknowledge that they should be listening. You should be listening and entertaining these offers. And lo and behold, 2 first-round picks did come through. Let's save a little bit of the Linderbaum until we get to free agency. But Chris, what was your first reaction when this dropped around 7 o'clock or so on Friday?
Yeah, you're right. We had said for, really for a couple of weeks, maybe even 3 weeks, I'll believe it when I see it. But then we always said that if a team comes through with an offer that's really too good to refuse, then you got to make the deal. I think that's what Baltimore did. They said, we're going to, and Baltimore never does this. They never give up first, and not let alone 1 first-round pick, but 2 first-round picks. So it's just out of character for the Ravens, but they did that. And so, it was an offer too good to be true. And so they had to pull the trigger on it. Sad. It's funny. Last night we were at the Zuffa boxing, and after the fights, I asked Dana about that one, about losing Maxx Crosby, because he was a huge UFC fan. He says that he found out as he was driving to Power Slap. He was calling Dana, says, "Hey, I just found out I'm traded. I'm not going to be coming to the Power Slap tonight. I got to go home and get ready." But he paid off his home here. He's going to make Las Vegas his home when football's done. He loves Las Vegas. Obviously, I put a post out a while back that probably the biggest thing that Max is going to miss is the mixed martial art, the UFC, the Power Slap, all that kind of stuff, the boxing. He's big into that stuff and even sparred over at the Apex many times. So he'll miss all that. But, congratulations to Max. Get the big deal, the Ravens. And now we'll see I think it's a win-win for both teams. Now we'll see down the road if it turns out that way. Is Max going to stay healthy? What do they do with the 14th pick in the first round? Is that player going to pan out? But I think it's really a win-win for both teams, don't you?
I will have to say that, you were the local fan base probably really attached to Maxx Crosby, so it sucks to sort of see him go. We've seen some Golden Knights part ways and ones where it's like, that sucks. But that is what you're hoping to get. Only a dozen or so NFL players have been traded for, maybe 2 dozen, for 2 first-round picks. So that says a lot. Rudy, talk to me. What do you grade this trade? Last time we talked, we were discussing should they entertain trading the first overall pick. Now they've got pick 14 in the chest as well, and another first next year. What do you think about this trade?
Well, they also let some capital go too, which frees up some space on their roster. Now, Maxx Crosby, and the writing on the wall of what we've seen from him last year is that will be his last year in a Raiders uniform. And I don't say that because of production. I say that because the team was limiting his production. They were limiting his ability to get on the field. So when you see a guy like Maxx Crosby on the sideline, you're thinking to yourself, okay, something's going on. It's either business or personal. And I think for Max, it's all business all the time, every day, 24/7, 365. So what he gives to the Ravens is a pass rushing delight. I mean, if you want a guy in your backfield who can make things happen at the line, if he was to come up from DT to LB, and he's very interchangeable. He knows the edges very well. He plays great inside. He plays great on the outside too. He's a coach's delight also. Why? Because now he's been trained by Harbaugh in so many different ways. And he's going to learn from the new regime there in Baltimore as to what it means to be a Raven. Now, for me, my team is also in the AFC North, and it's the Steelers. So, as you would expect, this is going to be a knockdown, drag-out fight, and it could add, because of Maxx Crosby's, I want to say testicular fortitude. If there's a better term for it, please correct me. But he's going to bring it on every single down against the Steelers and the rest of the AFC North.
Yeah. No, Chris, you saw that video. That was his last time, with the team at Allegiant Stadium to end the season when he was deactivated against the Chiefs. But this is the Max also, that's leaving. Very community involved, very happy to be in Las Vegas, engaged with the kids, plenty of 98s around the valley, that, dog jerseys, the whole nine. Max was a figure for this team. So we do wish him well. I believe collectively he put out a what appeared to be very sincere, sort of goodbye message to the team for now. I will say, Chris, he did say he wants to end a Raider when it's all said and done. Retire as a Raider, yeah, indeed. And when he's inducted in the Hall of Fame, he'll go in as a Raider, barring some crazy thing. But I love the Raiders. And you mentioned that community stuff. We've seen that, Darrell. He every year he had the big event. Every year it seemed like he was the community person of the year that the Raiders nominated. So he had that function every year along with his foundation. So in terms of a guy
that loved Las Vegas and Las Vegas loved him. He was like Marc-Andre Fleury in that sense from the Golden Knights, a guy you loved, a guy you appreciated, a guy that you always wanted to be around,
and
just
earned it in return.
Almost retire. Like everybody wanted Marc-Andre Fleury to retire as a Golden Knight. Everybody wanted Maxx Crosby to retire as a Raider, but things change. I mean, it's a business.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Let's jump into today's news as well. On the other side of this break, Rudy, I want your reaction to this signing also. Free agency is underway, so don't go anywhere. Sports Wrap Daily. We are just getting started.